Welcome to the Wealth Done Differently Retirement Podcast. Danielle Howard, a certified financial planner, shares insight into the financial tools, techniques, and temperaments needed to make the most of your retirement dollars and relationships. Danielle bridges the gap between Wall Street and Main Street, bringing complex financial topics down to earth. Danielle will educate and inspire you as you define and refine your version of prosperity.
Hello and welcome to Wealth Done Differently Retirement with Danielle Howard, a certified financial planner. Today, I'm going to ask a big question. What's your good news? Danielle, what's your good news?
We've had a lot of good news. Exciting. It's springtime. The rivers are running mightily past my window.
Nice.
And got green trees blooming, all sorts of good news. But our big news was last September, we welcomed our first grandchild, Zaylee Jean.
Nice.
Now I know why other grandparents out there are saying this is why we had kids.
Yeah. I've heard others say we should have just skipped to the grandkids.
Exactly. If that was only possible. Yeah, it's worth all the effort once we get to the grandkids.
Yeah.
Our good news is that our daughter and their blooming family live in Oahu, Hawaii, which is
my goodness,
an amazing, beautiful place to visit.
Yeah.
We've got bad news. Our daughter and blooming family live in Oahu, Hawaii. It's an expensive place to get to or to stay or to, buy groceries, get around, etc.
And if you need somebody to carry your luggage, Danielle, I know a guy. I know him very well.
Could you put me in touch with him a little bit? Okay, great. I'll get in touch with him later.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so grateful for technology. It's made the distance bearable. We Skype, we FaceTime, we Zoom. I bought those digital frames. I just bought one for my parents and got it all loaded where you can just email or text a photo and it just pops up on the frame, which is
those are amazing. I love those.
It is so cool. In fact, I bought a small one for myself and a really big one for my parents. And now I'm going, I want a big one.
Just swap them out. They'll never know, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll see. I might just have to bring the small one up to the office and get a bigger one for at home. Yeah, she's 7 months old. When we were looking at, she was, 7 months old last month. And there's nothing like the feel of the little tiny hands wrapped around your finger and sitting and trying to get the food into their mouth with, they just kind of, their heads just are continuously moving. We want to be an active part of their lives, and we really are trying to be intentional about how to figure out how to make it financially feasible. We could just put it on a credit card, or I could work harder when I'm at home, or we could take on more debt. But because of the world that I live in, I'm trying to figure out how can we optimize the monetary elements we have and look at how we can be creative and resourceful with other ideas and other elements that are out there. It's a personal belief that I have that if you are really clear on what is most important to you and you build on your character assets and utilize your financial assets wisely, that you can create the life you want. Mm-hmm. I thought today I'd just share our story on how we have made more of a reality for us to be over in Hawaii a little bit more often.
No, that would be great because as a Star Trek fan, I've been waiting for a transporter for years, right? I mean, I'm you know me very well. I live in Nebraska, and you and I work together very well. I'm very jealous of your mountains and your rivers that are running by your office. I love that, and I would love to be able to transport to a beach, a river, a mountain, anything besides a cornfield, anything. So, going to Oahu, let's talk about that.
When Zaylee was born, of course, as a grandmother, I wanted to be there for the birth, and I had to really honor my daughter's desire for us to show up a little bit afterwards. Mm-hmm. I wanted to show up the minute afterwards, and This is a whole nother discussion on grandparents, on grandparenting. How do we honor our kids in letting them be parents? So we went out after she was born. And I had my idea that I was going to be in their kitchen cooking, and I was going to hold the baby while my daughter rested, and that I was just going to be this little, fly in and help take over and do everything for them. And
total support package. Absolutely.
The whole package. They didn't look at it that way. They were kind of nesting, and they wanted their quiet time, and they weren't into having us there all the time. So we ended up with a bit more time. We were over there for 2 weeks, and we had more time on our hands than we had expected. So we're in Hawaii. Let's go find something to do. So we got online and we checked out, all the plethora of tours and touristy things to do. We are really good at just going on hikes and finding little excursions. But I discovered the Airbnb experience. We use Airbnb, and they have this whole new thing with Airbnb experience. And we signed up and got to listen to this incredibly personalized. It was only Mark and I. It was just the two of us that ended up signing up for it. And it was this family that does a native Hawaiian musical experience. And they make some coffee for you, and they provide the Hawaiian treats. And so at first I thought, well, this could be really corny. And it was absolutely amazing. It was just a treasured experience. And we got this lovely afternoon. They live on an organic farm, and they gave us a tour of the farm. We got to see everything, and I fell in love with it. Again, it was a very reasonable price, and, we just had a wonderful time there all afternoon. The world of technology, again, opened a door for a new type of experience for people. It also opened up the door to a new friendship. We spent lots of time talking to this couple, and I was over there actually a week longer than my husband was, and I got together with her again to just kind of talk about life. We had a lot of things in common. We'd both written books. She's a scientist. That is totally not something we have in common. But we love organic gardening. We love empowering women. And she went to school in Colorado, and she was really hoping to get her kids back to the state to, experience winter and to, see this beautiful place. So guess what? Opened the door to saying, come over and visit. I love sharing our home in our valley. And it was like, oh, you guys have to come over and you can stay with us. And that opened the door to, let's do a home exchange.
Wow.
So last month, we had actually talked about doing it in July because they were having to come stateside for a wedding. And she was like, would you like to come over and stay in July? And I was, sure, of course. And so we were working on that one. And then she came back and she goes, would you be available to come over? This was the end of April. And I said, boy, this is 2 weeks away. Let me see what I can do. Yes, I can do that. Let me rearrange my life a little bit.
No kidding.
So we were sitting and watching the sunset over this gorgeous farm, listening to the nonstop roosters crowing, and we were 10 minutes away from our grandbaby. So we got to have this just amazing opportunity to, we took care of their animals. My husband was tending to the goats. I did a whole piece on goat yoga. You've heard of that one. You're in Nebraska. You've heard of goat yoga, yes?
No, I've heard goat yogurt, but not goat yoga.
Oh, seriously? It is like
seriously?
It's a rage now. So I did this whole it's you have little baby goats in your yoga session and you just laugh the whole time. I've never done it. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on it. Check it out. Totally off topic. But I thought, oh my gosh, if little baby goats bring so much joy and happiness and calm to a already calm yoga practice, maybe I should do goat financial planning. Anyway,
I want to be there for the first session. I really do. Just
maybe you can sign up for this first session.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. We won't get anything done. You know that, right?
No, that's half the fun. Is just making it a little easier to talk about money in a fun way. Anyway, that was a little segue. But the idea was that we were able to stay at this absolutely gorgeous place. and 10-minute drive from our daughter's home. We were able to have them over for dinner. They could come visit. We'd go visit them. We babysat the baby. It was just lovely. It was perfect. So I think this whole world of the gig economy is opening up an opportunity for us to, minimize our expenses around this fall season of life. And it's opening up the opportunity to probably create some income if need be. I think it's, really exciting. It's this sharing economy. And it's when you talk about Star Trek, we talk about opening up a portal to a new dimension. Mm-hmm. Financial services industry used to say, it's all about building up this bucket of money for you to draw the line in the sand and then retire. And I think we're entering into this new dimension of what retirement is supposed to be about. And we have these opportunities to really look at our finances in a different way and use the gig economy to, help us create sustainability in our, liquid financial assets and to cultivate new friendships.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's very, very true. It opens the doors to so many possibilities.
Yeah. I know this isn't for everybody. It's taking a calculated risk. We actually drove their cars. They were very trusting of us. And when they come to visit us, I will, reciprocate and offer those kind of opportunities to them too. So yes, it is, we're taking risks. And I think that, that opportunity, and when you do take a little bit of risk and you start looking at being a little bit more vulnerable, I think it unveils, a richer and more fulfilling life experience all across the board. So as people are looking at, where do they want to go? What do they want to do? What's going to fill their days in this new season of life? What does it mean to take a little bit of risk, to be a little bit more vulnerable, to try something new? And I just encourage my listeners to take a look at what that might look like for you. So what's your good news in retirement? And how do you want to optimize all the financial aspects that, you have? And how do you unfold your life potential? Yes, there's numbers that need to be crunched and we need to look at different strategies from taxation issues. I look at our low tax rate environment that could possibly change in 4 years. So there's things that could be done over the next 4 years to really take advantage of our current tax environment. There's ways of looking at Social Security and pension distributions, and you need to look at how you're going to take cash flow from all these different areas. So yes, the moving financial pieces are deep and broad and increasingly complex. And I think that we have more good news in how this gig economy is going to add a creative element to this season of life. I'm really excited about it. It was so cool. When I share this story with people, they're blown away. And I am just very grateful for the blessing and counting our blessings every day with this new grandbaby and this opportunity to stay engaged with them in a way that's going to have boots on the ground and hands around that darling little bundle of joy that I just love listening to her giggle. And, we won't be able to maybe see her do soccer practice and plays every other week, but to the extent that we are able to be a part of their lives, we're going to do our best to get over there as often as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the key here is really, you're talking about all the pieces, right? There's a lot of different pieces that had to come together to make this happen. And when you talk about retirement and your next season, there are so many little pieces that if you know somebody that can connect you with the right pieces for you, then you put this puzzle together that makes a beautiful picture, right? I think that's what so many people are missing is understanding where to get those pieces, how to get those pieces. And I don't want to derail this again, but talking about travel, I actually stumbled across an app the other day. And I don't necessarily, I won't say the name of the app. If they want the name of the app, Danielle will know the name of the app because I will tell her off the air, but I don't want to put it on the podcast. But I heard some people talking about it the other day. They had experienced some travel and they had used an app that basically what the app does is it takes all the pieces. So they find all these local companies and smaller companies and large companies that are putting out deals, and then they put all these things together in one package. So just as a quick teaser, there's one package they have together. Now, if you fly from New York, you go to Tuscany, 6 nights, your airfare is included, your hotels are included, your breakfasts are included, and it includes a car.
Wow.
For those for those 6 days. The entire package for one person, that's based on 2 people, of course, but for one person is $499. It's insane.
Wow.
$499, airfare, hotels, car, and breakfasts. Going to Italy.
Okay.
My wife and I are freaking out. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we're going to do this. We're doing this. But the couple that I listened to, or I talked to, we were actually at a bar celebrating. We weren't celebrating. We're one of my friends had passed away a few years ago, and so a couple of us got together to lift a glass of Guinness,
yes.
Which is his favorite beer. It happens to be my favorite beer, but. There was some other people talking around this table. They spoke about a trip to China they took. They were there for 12 days. Airfare included, hotels included, a river cruise included, and it cost them each $1,200.
Wow.
That's just insane for all that. So they got all the pieces together, put it together, and that's what you get for a package. You have this with this other family. You're using their cars. They're going to be using your cars. They're using your home. There's trust involved. You have to know the people that you're getting into these relationships with. And I know you took your time to do that. But the benefits to you are so tremendous. You know, you get to, like you said, you get to hold that grandbaby. You get to be there more often in a better capacity, right? I mean, you're 10 minutes away and they can come and relax at your place. You can go to their place because I'm sure their place is a little chaotic with the new baby. So maybe they do want to just, right? They just want to get out and enjoy a dinner someplace else besides their dishes, their dishwasher, their kitchen, their oven, their stove. You know, so I think that's a blessing to them as well.
Yeah. And you touched on, an important piece with all of this is, connecting what's important about this travel. And, I'm one of these, I love my great deals, but then it goes back to the question, just because we can, should we? But if you peel away and figure out what is important about travel, or what, if you've got family or you want to do volunteer work, or you want to totally immerse yourself in a culture, and then you layer that on top of the finding a great deal, there's nothing better. So, but I think we do need to keep wrapping it back to what is really important about our season, as we're entering this fall season of life, and why do we want to optimize, whether it's the financial assets we have or even the character assets. We can get into talking about how all of this gig economy, you are building character assets. When you use Airbnb or you use Uber or Lyft or any of the other ones out there, you get rated and you're able to rate where you stay to your host. And this is really important. You don't realize how important your character is until when you're building these character assets, and people we'd invite you back. They're clean, they're friendly, they did what they said they're going to do. And so I think it's just building a whole new bank of assets that we can tap into in a variety of ways that will serve us well.
Now, Danielle, I know you have very, very strong relationships with your clients, and I know it takes time, but for somebody listening to this that does not have that relationship with their advisor or is looking to speak to a new advisor, what would you say is a good time frame? How long does it take to really get to know somebody from your end as an advisor and from their end as somebody seeking someone's advice?
Well, I think, one, they want to listen to our next podcast, which is going to be looking at what kind of rights you have in seeking financial advice.
Okay.
I think that people can get a pretty good sense in the first hour to hour and a half of meeting with an advisor as to, how they're aligned. I think you can look at the questions that are being asked by the advisor. And, we're like doctors. We cannot advertise. We can't give testimonials. We can't say, I did this for so-and-so and this played out in this way. But you can ask your friends as far as their relationship with their advisors, what they do, what they, how they get paid. And then I think it's a matter of being, again, that finding that place of vulnerability where you're willing to share your hopes, your dreams, your concerns, your fears, and lay everything out on the table and take one bite of the elephant at a time. But, listen to your gut, look for those telltale signs of this would be a good friendship. This would be a good relationship. And then look at the competencies with the, designations and the, how long have they been in the business and all this. But it does take time to open that for many people.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this wondering kind of the point that I'm trying to make is ask Danielle questions. Right? Any advisor you go to, ask them specific questions. Ask them about their values. Ask them about their life. Ask them about their, if they've got pictures on the wall. Ask them about their family, their grandkids, their kids. They should be able to talk to you about that without it being a really hard issue for them to talk about. Or they shouldn't be trying to avoid it because you need a relationship with someone who's going to be giving you advice that's going to impact the rest of your life. You need to be in a true, authentic relationship. And I know Danielle does that. And Danielle, I know that you do that very well with your clients, but don't be afraid to ask some personal questions too, because any advisor will tell you, this is what I'm designated in. This is where I went to school. This is how I got my education. But that doesn't tell you who they are as a person. Those are great things to know. And that's definitely part of the process, but don't be afraid to get personal and find out where their values lie and what their true goals in life are. Because if they want to know your goals, you should also know yours. You should also know theirs. That's just basic.
Yeah.
So
it's like, many people go to meet with a doctor or attorney and they're a little bit intimidated because these people know so much. It's okay. Everybody is just human. And if you're going to be sharing your intimate details with them, you want to feel like you're in the right place. And exactly. I think people and advisors should be willing to take the time to have these conversations. And, that's why I don't want anybody to take anything that I say on these podcasts personally, because I think, each situation is so unique. And your advisor needs to get to know you really well before, you play any of these pieces out, whether they're just financial or you're looking at creative elements to bring into the picture. So listen to the podcast, glean some wisdom, glean some insight, and then find an advisor that's really going to resonate with you and be able to serve you for where you're at.
Absolutely. Danielle, I think that's great advice. I mean, that's, again, they have to get to know their advisor. And some people like to take baby steps, right? I mean, it is intimidating. I don't want to necessarily call somebody up and make an appointment and go in and meet them right off the bat. I might personally, I'm a huge fan of doing some research and digging a little bit. So I'm a big fan of getting on Google and Googling somebody. If they want to get to know you a little bit, they kind of want to take those baby steps towards understanding who you are, where your heart is. I know that you've got a website, a couple websites, in fact, that they can get more information about you, about what you do, some tools and resources. Where can you send them so they can start that process before they just jump in, both feet and call you?
Great. Thanks, Eric. At Danielle Howard, 4u.com, you're going to find some complimentary webinars, some educational pieces, and I do have an 8-week e-course on retirement there. And if you feel like you are ready for that personalized face-to-face meeting, you can get a hold of us at area code 970-927-3909. You can check out what we do with our journey of financial health at www.wealthbydesign4u.com. And I just, yes, thank you. I just encourage people to take a look at some of the free resources we have at both of the websites and get educated, get a better sense of what you're wanting in an advisor and what resonates for you. And listen to our next podcast where we'll be talking about your rights that you have when you are working with an advisor. Thank you so much, Eric, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Me too. Thank you for your time today. Thank you all for listening to the Wealth Done Differently Retirement Podcast with Danielle Howard. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Danielle comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Now, if you do go to those websites, which I encourage you to, once you've seen some of the stuff that she's doing for free and a little bit more information about Danielle and how she runs her practice and what she does, then you do need to take that next step and give that phone a ring, because she'll be happy to meet with you and chat with you and talk about what your next season looks like. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at Wealth Done Differently Retirement, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Wealth Done Differently Retirement Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Wealth by Design, LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Danielle Howard, Certified Financial Planner, is an investment advisor representative of Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Cambridge and Wealth by Design, LLC are not affiliated.